Hi everybody, my name's Yassi and today we're going to be cooking some savoury pizza scrolls. So pizza scrolls, you know them from the bakery. They're round and swirly and they're stuffed full of really yummy things. And today I'm going to show you just how easy it is to make them at home so you don't need to worry about spending money buying things. So here's some flour. First of all, we've got 1 cup of self-raising flour. Now if you didn't have self-raising flour, you can easily just use plain flour and then add some baking powder to that. It does exactly the same thing. When I trialed this recipe, that's what I did and it was delicious. So that's 1 cup here. And then we're going to take some yogurt. It's the easiest dough ever. And we're going to use 125 grams of yogurt, so that's half a cup. So if you remember for your portions, we're just doing 2 to 1, 2 flour, 1 yogurt. So that's that. Then we'll add in a little salt and give that a good mix. So we'll start mixing with this spoon, and then as it starts to come together, we will get in there with our hands. And what we're hoping for is a nice smooth dough ball. So if you find that when you're doing this it's too wet, please add some more flour. If it's too dry, please add some more yogurt. You get the idea. Got to be a little bit flexible when it comes to these things. So we can see now that this is starting to clump together. So we're just going to start squeezing that and molding it into a dough. Please make sure you've got clean hands when you're doing this because you'll be eating it. It doesn't take too long. Maybe just a couple of minutes maximum of kneading, and we'll just keep going like that so I can show you it's coming together quite well. We've just got those few little pieces to go. And then once you've got all of your flour incorporated into your yogurt, we can set the bowl aside and start to just work it with our hands. So to make a smooth dough, you want to probably roll it or knead it, like I said, just for a couple of minutes. And you can feel that dough starting to smooth out right underneath you. It's a little bit of a good workout for your arms. And we'll just keep going here. If it starts getting too sticky, just feel free to add a little flour. So these scrolls are so versatile. You can put anything you like in there, and it'll pretty much taste delicious. You can also add things to your dough. So if you wanted to put some fresh herbs in there, you could do that. You could put some garlic in there if you wanted to. Yeah, really, the world is your proverbial oyster. Now, we're almost there. So kneading the dough also activates the gluten in the dough, so that will help it to rise up a little. Okay, so then once we've got our nice dough ball, we're going to just sprinkle a little flour here and start to roll that out. So just take your rolling pin, maybe you can put a little flour there. If you do not have a rolling pin, that's also fine. You could just use most of us have some cling wrap in the drawer. Just use the cling wrap, take it out of that box, and that perfectly round tube is all you need. So just working this into a rectangular shape. And then to make your shape a little more pretty, you can just fold the edges in and then roll it again. So you want your dough to be approximately 1/2 centimeter thick. You don't want it to get too thin because if it does, it might create some tears. And if your filling is quite wet, then that's more likely to happen. So with the pizza dough filling, it is quite wet and juicy because of the tomatoes and other veggies in there. So we're just about there. If you were feeling lazy and you didn't want to make your own dough, you could just use puff pastry for this. But it's kind of nice, I think, like rolling dough is a good way to get out your excess energy. Satisfying. Okay, so here we are. We've got a rough rectangle shape with no holes. I'm going to take our fillings now. So first of all, we've just got some organic tomato-based pasta sauce. So you just want to spread that around. Just leave a little bit on the edges free, just because they're going to get rolled up anyway. And you don't really want exploding scrolls. And then just as you would when you're making a pizza at home, add your ingredients. So we've got some capsicums or red bell peppers. And we're also using some mushrooms. You can be generous with the fillings, but just bear in mind that when you chop them, your rolls, it can get a little tricky if you've got too much going on. Then we have some olives. And some pineapple. So if you've got little kids at home, this is a great activity for them to get involved in. Everyone likes helping to make food, and it sometimes encourages them to eat their veggies as well, inadvertently. So to that we're just going to add some mixed herbs just for extra flavour. And a little bit of cracked black pepper. And I've got a little garlic powder here, just to add some more flavour. And a pinch of salt. And finally, just some chopped chives. So that looks pretty good, gotta say. Then, of course, the magical ingredient, which is some cheese. Can't be a pizza without cheese. And here we have our scroll. Okay, so the next step, and the tricky step, is to roll this guy and keep all your filling intact. So you want to keep your filling moving towards the center as you roll over. It's a little tricky. You can see we've got one little hole happening, which we can just seal up with a little bit of extra dough. And there we go. So that worked. And if you find that you've got any little bits that are pierced from the filling, just take the edges of your dough and use that to seal them up. So have a check on the bottom as well. The last thing we want is to have filling spilling out. So this one is almost a little too full, but we'll persist. I'm just going to grab a knife and then I'll show you how we'll cut it. I'll make this one. Okay, so definitely 100% serrated knife for this. Flat-bladed knives will not work and will just end up making you sad. You want to take your slices, press firmly and quickly through. And then you can see that we end up with these little scrolly pizza shapes. So as we work, we can pop them into a tray we have lined already. We want them to go in nice and close together, kind of the same way as you would with scones. So just holding your roll steady. And that's about a 2-inch slice. Tidying them up. as you're putting it in. There we go. So these rolls are easily frozen, so they're great for the lunchbox, for a snack if you've got unexpected guests. Okay. There we go. So now they're going to head into the oven on about 200 degrees for around 20 minutes. Gonna have a look at that. Okay, in they go. Okay, here we are, out of the oven. So they've been in the oven for around, it was only 17 minutes, and made a second variation. So just as a tip for you, get these guys out of here and have a look at that. If you use coconut yogurt rather than cow's yogurt, they come out a lot softer and fluffier. So I'd suggest definitely using the coconut yogurt. You can see that they pull apart easily. We're looking for this, you won't be able to hear it, but this tapping sound when we tap on the side of them. That's how we know that they're cooked, and they are nice and brown on the bottom, so our pastry is fully cooked through. Then we can cool them down, or you can eat them right away if you want to. Cool them on a cookie tray rack, and you can freeze them for up to a week. Or, yeah, I don't think they'll last that long.